So we are the children of Ernest Hodges, Ernest W. Hodges, and Ernest W. Hodges is the child of Jim Hodges, Jim and Matt Hodges.
So Jim is your
grandfather
and grandmother. Okay. And where did you grow up?
Uniondale, New York. Well, our younger years. Then we moved here as teenagers, 14. Yeah. I was 14.
And you were 12.
12, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was it like being close and kind of in the community of Hodges back in this area?
It was good. We used to come down every year for Thanksgiving, so all our cousins were from everywhere were here, and we just good to have family, good to be around family.
And so growing up in New York, it was the one time of the year that we just got to see everybody. That was like a fairy tale, really, because in New York we did have a few cousins, here and there, but when we came here, we had just so many family members. So we couldn't wait to get out the car. Do you remember those days?
We take our shoes off and we put them back on until we head to New York.
Because it was Thanksgiving and it was warmer
down
here.
Yeah.
So we would peel off our clothes and get out of the car, and just all of our cousins would be here and waiting. So it was really like a fairy tale.
Good times.
And it just, we got together and hated to leave, you know. And then when we found out we were moving here, it was just wonderful, and here we are.
Yeah.
So tell me about your Grandpa Jim. Describe him for me.
I know we'll need a tissue now.
I'll start. He's too emotional. So Grandpa Jim was amazing. And I couldn't have had a better, funnier grandfather. Just so many things that it checks off on Grandpa Jim. So I know he was a wonderful father, a wonderful provider, but just being a grandpa, he was fun. He was loving. We got to watch him with my grandmother. We got to watch him with his children, our parents and aunts and uncles. And then even with us, he was funny. We got the funny part of him. My dad and his sisters and brothers said that, he was never that funny with us. He was serious and, because of course it was all about work. But with us, it was, fun and games. And I think we entertained him. He used to get tickled watching us. So he was an amazing person. We learned a lot from him. He was a good businessman. He was still farming, when we got the opportunity to see him still in action and working. And that was wonderful. In fact, David can go into a little more detail because he used to be able to work with him during the days, so during the summers. So
yeah, when we moved down here, I used to work. Excuse me, just back so many memories. Used to get up early in the morning, work on the farm, pick watermelon and cantaloupe, corn, and we'd load Grandpa Jim's truck up, Uncle Tommy's truck, and me and Grandpa Jim would go sell it to the, food, markets and grocery stores. And I remember one time, Grandpa Jim said he had bought some mustard seed. He said, "I'm going to make a mule out of you today," and he kept saying it over and over. And I'm, okay. So we get back to the old home house, and Uncle Tommy had already plowed a little plot up. So Grandpa Jim goes to the barn, grabs this steel bed frame, and he ties this rope around it. And I'm thinking, damn. So I need to put this around your neck and pull it up and down and cover the seed up.
You really were a mule.
So
I never heard that story. That's funny.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was talking about. He kept saying, "I'm gonna make a mule later today."
That's funny.
But it was, I never had time to get in trouble because we worked so hard. And by the time I got home in the afternoon, I was tired, beat in the sun, in the sun all day, unload. I was a teenager, I was young and strong, but I was, unloading the truck by myself, all watermelon and a whole truck. But it was good. It was good.
I will tell you, the funniest thing about Grandpa Jim is he loved Soul Train. The show. He would sit and watch it and say, "This is horrible how these women wear these scandal dress like that. Who would let this happen?" The whole show. But he wouldn't turn channel. Yeah. But he would say, look at this. Look how they're just shaking their, And for, we were watching it, but, he wouldn't turn the channel, but he would just, I can't even believe, look at that one, look at this one.
Yeah.
But that was the funniest thing. It's like, you can turn the channel. No, but just look at them. But that was funny. Another thing is, that was a funny story. Is for years, Grandpa Jim had a hiding place for his money and didn't think anybody knew where it was. And I knew where it was. And so I remember him saying, you don't know where my money is? And I said, yeah, I always knew where your money was. He's like, you don't know where I hide my money? I can say it now because it's not obviously not there, but it was behind the clock pendulum. And he said, go get my money for me. It's a big wad of cash. I literally opened the clock up, went behind the pendulum, and he was like, his face turned red. Grandpa Jim laughed and chuckled. And he was like, how long have you known it? I said, Grandpa Jim, I've always known it was there. He was like, what? Well, that was funny. But just a lot of fond memories.
Yeah.
He was a good grandpa.
What do you think he was trying to teach you? There's a value of hard work.
Yeah.
That goes back to his father.
Yeah, he like you always said, he had a lot of land, so in order to maintain it, they had to work hard. Even my father.
Yeah, my dad was born between 8 women. So there were some sons, and then there were 4 daughters, and then my dad, and then 4 daughters after. So my dad was the one that was kind of home, the only son that was really working at a point in time. And they worked I wouldn't say working to death.
Yeah.
Daddy loved his life and childhood, but he worked hard. And, the daughters helped, but Dad did the outside stuff with Grandpa Jim, working on the farm with the tractors and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that work ethic was instilled in my father, which then was instilled in us, which we're trying to instill in our children. Don't get me started.
But
Go
go ahead. But Daddy said one time, he said when he used to drive the tractor, because Grandpa Jim, when Daddy was young, he used to drive the tractor. Grandpa Jim didn't have a tractor when the older ones were there. So Daddy said he would be driving the tractor and see his friends going to Fayetteville, to the movies and stuff. And he said he used to envy them. But as he got older, he really appreciated that work.
Yeah, because it taught him a lot. And, again, he instilled that in us.
There is a point where that appreciation comes in.
Oh, yes, for sure. I think I guess I've been working since I was a young kid. But when I went in the Navy, what they considered work was nothing. And I could not get over how lazy people were. I was like,
I think we take that
they tried harder to get out of work than just to go ahead and do what it needed to be done. And that's what, I was like, man.
Makes you grateful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Even to this day, I meet grown adults that are lazy. I'm like, how did you get this far?
Yeah, it does. Even at work, I see people that ethic is
You
just
appreciate that family.
It's kind of gone. What's sad though? I do feel like we are going to lose the stories. Do you remember the stories Grandpa Jim used to tell us?
Oh, yeah.
Of him growing up, and then the stories that Daddy used to tell us about their childhood. And then, we have a few, which we're talking about now, but I feel like it's going to run out. And that's the sad part, because we didn't have the struggles or the times that, it's a different time. So I will say that it's kind of sad that we won't have those stories to pass on to our children about, the things that we struggle with or whatever. So I guess it's a new time.
Did you hear about Grandpa Sam and Fanny when you were growing up at all?
Wait, Grandpa Jim used to
I think David heard more because he was.
I used to ride
riding
Grandpa
his
Jim
ride
all day.
summer.
He told me
What
things that I can't say either, and I won't take to my grave.
Go ahead, Sam.
Oh no! Don't take it to the
No.
grave. We're all adults.
But no, he said no.
we're
I
good
promised
now.
him. I promised him.
I promised him.
But
He's not gonna get you.
I know because I'm not gonna say anything. No, he just talked
did he
about
say? Yeah.
how hard his father, was on him, and he really appreciated that as well. And his mother's cooking, but he loved his family. So I mean, I've never seen him. He loved his family.
And I think they all did. I think we
Yeah.
all have that. All of our
Yeah.
aunts, great aunts and uncles, and I think Samuel, our great grandfather, passed that same, legacy and the same values down to his children, and then they passed them down to their children. But we have a beautiful legacy, and I applaud you for keeping it alive and keeping it going.
Do you remember any of your great aunts and uncles?
Oh,
On
yeah.
Bertha, on Honey, on
Yeah.
Mill.
What do you remember about Honey?
So I used to go up there every
Sweet as Honey.
Yeah.
On Bertha. Smoking.
Yep. Mom would drive up there, so we used to go spend a lot of time with them at the church. And so we'd go sit on that back porch and sit and talk, and and if we weren't up with Aunt Bertha and Aunt Honey, we were at Aunt Mill's house, or Aunt Ethel in Fayetteville. So we did get to know them, a great deal, and I loved them too, and they were just the sweetest,
What was it like having all these cousins?
It was,
Like built-in friends?
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess some friends get that close, but it's just a natural, even ones you hadn't seen in so long, it was just like you hadn't seen them yesterday. Yeah.
I thought everybody had family like ours.
Yeah, I did too.
Really. And they don't.
Let me tell you one good, when I was on the ship, now I'm in my 20s now, and when I grew up in New York, all my friends had their mothers and fathers. So when I moved to North Carolina, all my cousins have their mothers and fathers. I'm a grown man. We're on the ship one day in the berthing where we all stay, and I'm sitting there talking something about me and my father did something. There's about 6 of us standing around, and I was telling them about what me and my father had done. And after I finished saying it, nobody said anything. Then one guy says, I think 2 of the guys met their fathers, like, no, had never met their fathers, and the other ones, like, fathers weren't in their lives. And I remember this. After I left those guys, I went and sat on my rack. I don't know if you've seen the movies, but the racks. I had a bottom rack at the time, and I remember sitting on my rack, and I felt like I had been hit by a car. It was hard for me to even fathom. And I was that old for me to realize that everybody doesn't have a father in their family, in their life. And it was like, man, I was blessed.
That's a whole nother talk show, isn't it? But the families, yeah, I thought that, I didn't realize that everybody didn't have just a big, huge amount of cousins and families like we did. And when you tell people now or tell the tale, it's just phenomenal. They're like, what? How many cousins? How many, even on family reunions, you've seen them. I mean, they're huge, We don't have as often as we should, but we are blessed with a huge family. And I will say this, being a Hodges was a gift too. A gift and a curse, because growing up, everybody knew the Hodges.
Yeah.
We were a prominent family in this area, and everybody knows, black, white, Indian, we were well known. And so growing up, I never got a ticket, a speeding ticket. I got warnings, but when they saw the last name, are you related to Jim Hodges or Tommy Hodges? And I said, sure am, yep, granddaughter, niece. And they would say, look, I knew your grandfather, and blah, blah, and they would go into a story about how their father knew, or, they whatever. And then they would say, well, you better slow down. And I was like, sure thing, But everybody knew them. Even now to this day, you can walk into somewhere and, oh, you're a Hodges. My name is Braggs now, but I should have changed it back earlier, but everyone knows the Hodges. And so that name, spoke volumes. And when I say it's a good thing and a bad thing, it wasn't a bad thing, but it kept you doing the right thing. When you're younger and you're a teenager, you're doing crazy things, or if you're hanging out in your 20s and you're partying, you knew that if you got in trouble, your name is going to be out there, or your grandparents, whatever. Mm-hmm. So there was accountability with that name, and that's missing too nowadays.
When we were at Fayetteville State, and we worked at McDonald's. Remember what's the name? I don't remember her name. No, what's the lady said about us? Remember the kids were out in the front and messing. Remember what she said to us? She asked us, "How come you all aren't like the rest of them?"
Oh,
like
yeah,
the rest
yeah,
of them?
yeah. That's funny, but
Because you're Hodges, that's why.
That's right.
Yeah, there's no way.
Well, when somebody knows your father or your
family, because they knew our family too. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But even if they didn't, I guess because of my parents, I wouldn't have acted, that crazy. I used to work for a company called Hillrom Hospital. Almost every hospital has Hillrom beds in them, medical. And I was fixing this gentleman's hospital bed. He was on the bed, but I was there to fix it. And this guy, we started talking about it. He asked me about the Hodges. And he said, I told him who my grandfather was, Jim Hodges. And he said, Jim Hodges ballpark out on 301 South. This man broke down crying.
Worse than you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought maybe he might be, a little something. He was an older gentleman, but then after he calmed down, he started talking about all the good times he had as a young man there.
See, we were even bringing memories to people who weren't even in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Does it still feel like that? Do your kids feel like that? You don't have the same life.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah, they don't appreciate what it meant. I try to tell them and, explain it to them. I think when we're all together and they see us together, the larger family, or a family reunion is like the last family reunion, they understand there's some, this family is kind of special, but day to day, I think they don't understand what it meant.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. I don't want it to, dilute and just kind of fade away. But
or how we got here.
Who
got us here.
And who got us here.
Yeah.
And I guess it's up to us to keep that going. They did, you know what I mean? So, it's our responsibility to our kids to make sure that we, carry on that legacy. Even in Fayetteville State, let me tell you this story. I was a teacher at Fayetteville State, went to college with my aunt. She was the first day of class. She was doing the roll. And she goes, Barbara Hodges? She says, DeAnna Hodges. I went to school. Do you know a Barbara Hodges? You look like her. And she knew Aunt Barbara. And she went to college with her and knew. But here we go.
What do you think the legacy of the family is? What do you think the characteristics, qualities, legacy of the family is?
I would like to think it's hard work.
Yeah, I would like to think that too. I know we come from the soil, the dirt. I think that was our humble beginnings, and it, grew, and it, we were farmers. We loved the land.
Yeah.
I think that was our original legacy.
And Grandma Matt loved it too. Her yard. She was
We love the land. We work hard. Those are the two things, and we love family. Those three things: the land, and family, and working hard. Those are the three things that when I think of the Hodges, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
And reproduction. We'll throw that in there too, because there's so many of us. But that's another talk show.
Yes.
I was very close to Grandma.
Yeah, she was.
I was.
Yeah.
Very wise, very quiet. Didn't say much, but she was very wise.
When she did speak,
Sometimes the quietness spoke volumes. Mm-hmm. But my grandfather, I don't want to say worship, but wow, like, that's a love I'll never have. But he adored her. Like she, how he was.
When we used to go out selling produce every day, things that he didn't sell that Grandma Matt want, like some fruit or something, he would make sure that make sure you get your grandmother some grapes or whatever he was that he wasn't selling, and he adored her.
Yeah, he was. She didn't say much, but and he was one of the. She was. I don't want to say she was in charge, but he respected her opinion. He let me check with Matt. She didn't say much, but he would ask her. I think she was running the show actually. But he wouldn't say she was running the show. But she was a strong woman.
He used to seek wise counsel.
She was very strong, very wise, and an amazing mother. Yeah. A good mother. They were good parents. They loved their children, and you knew it.
That 1975 family reunion, the first one, I think Grandpa Jim, it's probably way off, but if I can remember, he said, enjoying and loving the sport of baseball all my young life. I was proud to sign with a famous team called the Baltimore Black Sox in 1917. After 3 seasons with the Sox, I was shuffled from team to team, but in my mind, the Sox were tops. Well, after one season looking around Papa's farm, I saw a young pretty girl picking cotton. We looked at one another, and in 6 months were married. That was 57 years ago into this marriage. 17 children were born. Of all those moments I've experienced, nothing surpasses the feeling when I'm at home and all my children are around me. That's when I feel like a king. I'm probably not too far off from that.
Wow. Okay, now I'm crying. Okay. Just the allergies. But that's amazing. You memorized that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
1917? That's when he joined the Black Sox?
If I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God. That's incredible. He was born in
1893. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was amazing. David,
What?
I never heard that before.
Well, you
I'm
do is
learning
read
things with
read
my
the
brother,
book.
and I read the book.
I used to read it over and over again. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not word for word, but it's close to it.
You summed it up.
Yeah, but he, like I say,
Yeah.
he loved his family.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
But